Hey everybody, Reefgrrl here. If you saw my video on the other salinity monitor that was such a big fail, you might be asking yourself, why is she doing this? Why is she trying yet another type of salinity monitor when the refractometer does just as good a job? Well, that's a fair question. The answer is related to the near crash of my tank. You may have seen that video. I put it out about a week ago, and the result is that I need to measure salinity frequently. I'm doing so many water changes, I'm making so much new water, and I have to monitor it really carefully to be sure I don't mess up the salinity and cause even more problems. Hence, I picked myself up this Poseidon Flow Technologies Salinity Pen Plus. The plus refers to temperature. There are 3 modes, one of which is temperature that can be measured in Fahrenheit or Celsius. So immediately I can see what a great box this is. It's very, very sturdy, well made, and this front flap is how you open it. It's magnetic. Took me a bit to figure this out, but eventually I got it. Inside is the user manual instruction guide, which I really like to have. I hate these things these days that make you go online to look for simple things. And next up we have this tether. At least that's what I think it is. I think it's meant to go around the top of the unit so that if for any reason it should slip out of your fingers, it won't fall directly into the water. The user guide describes this pen as water resistant, but under the warranty section it says water damage is not covered because it is not waterproof. This pen also comes with calibration fluid. This particular fluid is at 30 parts per thousand, as opposed to other types of calibration fluid you may have seen, which are at 35 parts per thousand. And this is particular to this specific pen. I might just try the 35 stuff to see if it works. Here's the pen itself. It's very well packaged, I guess to protect it from moisture. The plastic is solid, and the buttons themselves are small but seem very sturdy. Pretty impressive so far. It also comes with this rubber cap to protect the platinum coated tip. From my reading and research, this tip is very, very susceptible to corrosion and damage. So the rubber cap is provided to protect it. From what I've read, the instructions are to rinse it in fresh water after each use and dry it off really well, then store it with this little cap on at all times. This unit operates on button batteries, which are under this cap and included. Okay, let's get this thing calibrated. Here's the unit up close. There is the rubber cap and the nice shiny platinum tip. I have the calibration fluid all ready to go, but first I need to rinse off the platinum tip as per the instructions and dry it with a soft cloth. There are 3 buttons on the pen: the power button, the mode button, and the calibration button. When the unit is powered on, it defaults to displaying the temperature. The mode button is pushed to change from temperature to parts per thousand because that's what's needed for the calibration. Next up is to put the unit into the calibration fluid, and I love how the bottle is exactly the right size that the collar will rest on top of the rim. This makes it really easy. Then we press and hold the calibration button for around 10 seconds. Watching the screen, eventually, after seeing a few numbers rotate through, the word CAL is displayed. Then the unit is calibrated. The next display is 30. The 30 actually represents the unit calibrating itself to the calibration fluid. Dave's Nanotanks left a comment on my review of the American Pinpoint Marine Salinity Monitor regarding how electrical conductivity being used to measure salinity in the presence of potential stray voltage might result in inaccurate readings, and I kind of agree with that. I see the point. I'm going to get a cup of salt water out of my saltwater mixing tote to eliminate the possibility of any stray voltage affecting the accuracy of the reading. So here's the cup. Now we will switch to specific gravity, shake a couple times to get off any air bubbles, and the reading is 1.023. I should mention here that the range of variance is considered plus or minus 0.002. So just to see, I'm going to compare this with my refractometer and make sure that it's well within the range that it's supposed to be. So after checking with the refractometer, it is 1.025. Because that is within the range that they give for variability, I'm okay with that. The main thing is consistency. So now I'm going to check my tank with the refractometer and my tank with the Salinity pen and see how close they are. After recalibrating, we check the tank water and it comes out to 1.023. I did this a number of times, calibrating and measuring, and comparing to my refractometer. Even though it shows 0.002 different, I'm okay with that because it's consistent from one reading to the next. I can work with that. So did I waste my money this time? Well, this was around $100 Canadian as opposed to 110 US, and I think it's going to give me the convenience I'm looking for. I am kind of a little bit disappointed that it's not as accurate as I had expected, i.e. the 0.002 difference. But you know, I can work with that, as I said, because it's consistent from one reading to the next, time after time. So I know when this says 1.023 on the pen, it's actually 1.025 according to my refractometer. And that works for me. It's within the tolerances listed in the product information, and really, that's all I can ask. All right, if you hung around to the end of the video, I'll give you a brief update on the tank crash. I guess I can't really call it a crash per se, because very few things have actually died, but things are looking rough. The fish all look great. The invertebrates all look great. All of the crabs that I've seen and the snails and the shrimp are doing fine. It's just the coral. Things haven't really improved much for the Monties at the back here. The torches are hanging in there, but barely. The acans, same thing. I guess that's the best way to describe what's going on here. Hanging in there, but barely. The Duncan today is starting to open up again. The hammer, still looking very rough. I have a UV flashlight. I use that after lights out to check things out. I do still see a lot of color in the hammer. And in spite of how terrible they look, there's still a lot of color in the octospawns. So who knows, right? The big shock is the bubble coral. It looks smaller, but healthy. Stanley the clam is a success story. I'm happy to report. I turned the T5s off about 5-6 days ago because I was concerned that the corals were stressing, trying to photosynthesize, getting baked with light when they're having problems. So I shut them off, and now I'm ramping them back up again starting yesterday, 15 minutes at a time. So hopefully I'll get back to where I was before and it'll be full light. So I noticed that Stanley was closed up for a day or two, and then yesterday when I started with the T5s again, he started looking better. So I think his response was not related to the tank conditions. I think it was light related. The Pectinia, also under UV light, there's a lot of green. Still a lot of dead tissue and skeleton showing, but there's enough green to make me hopeful that it may actually survive, or at least part of it. These Monties up here, the plating Season's Greetings, they've just gone brown. They haven't lost their flesh, but you know, the color. And the Millie has lost tissue. The Cherry Blossom and the Fox Flame Acro here have not lost a lot of tissue, a little bit off the front of the Fox Flame, but basically they're hanging in there. This has gone completely white. This acro here was kind of a soft blue-green. It's brown. I'm sorry for how blurry this is. That one is basically gone. So overall, I don't think I have a lot of death. I think what I have here is stress. And I'm continuing with the daily water changes, followed by parameter checks. The parameters from the beginning have been fine, just the same as they've been for a couple months. So I'm still at a loss as to precisely what happened, but I just have to deal with the fact there's something in the water that's causing issues, or caused an issue that is now taking a lot of time for the coral to recover. I want to say thank you to everyone for your kind wishes and support. I really do appreciate it. Anyway, that's how things are, and thanks for hanging around to see this. I will be back with updates on this tank. Hopefully I won't lose too many more corals, but it's liable to look different the next time you see it in an update.